Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the official Home Button podcast. We don't have a silly good name for this one. Today, this week, I am joined by Emilio. and Jean-Luc, I guess.
Hello!
No vomit noise from you?
No.
Okay.
That wasn't vomit, to be fair. That was
It was just like a weird, like...
a very terrified belch.
It upset me greatly. This week we're going to be talking about why we think Blizzard is killing it in the streets, using guns and knives. Blizzard's up in the guts. Why we think they're doing so well right now. So just an overview of Blizzard as a company right now.
If you don't know who Blizzard is...
Yeah, if you don't know who Blizzard is and you're watching this, that's a really weird coincidence that you're viewing this video of us talking about games and you don't know who that company is. Yeah, if you don't, if that is you, Mom, it's my mom. Is that viewer?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they made famous games such as
Diablo.
Rock and Roll Racing.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And for the SNES.
That's the
Rockstar. No, never mind. That's Rockstar. I was gonna say Rockstar Table Tennis, but I'm like, wait, that's Rockstar.
No.
How did you fuck that up?
Oh shit! All these San Andreas notes I wrote up, I fucked up. Out of the wrong company.
I'm a fan of like
Blizzard handles the controversy so well with their murder games.
I'm a fan of Rock and Roll Racing.
Rock and Roll Racing is pretty good.
They made the ever so popular is what I just did. Ever so popular World of Warcraft. Hearthstone.
10th year.
Yes, in its 10th year this year. Hearthstone, Diablo 3, which came out and has been revitalized recently. Here's the Storm, which is their new MOBA, and soon coming is their shooter Overwatch, which is apparently being renamed because of legal reasons. But you all know it as Overwatch.
Or Blizzard buys the old name. I don't know. Yeah, there's some controversy with it right now. I can, do some research while you guys talk about it, though. Name. Blizzard, yeah. It says they might. I don't know if this is totally confirmed.
It's saying they might need to. It doesn't say they...
They are running into issues, though.
Okay. I'm okay with that because I don't like the name Overwatch.
So I guess we're just going to talk about... I think the best way to explain why we think Blizzard is... since I am the host of this shindig, we'll go through, kind of talk about each game a little bit and just kind of why collectively their portfolio of games we think makes them such a great kind of producer of vid games right now.
Let me throw something out there.
Sure.
Blizzard can make any kind of game, and they do it fine. To an extent. Like well, okay, and I say that because Matt, you and I are Dota fans.
Yes.
And everything I've seen, everything I've heard about Heroes of the Storm has been kind of, well, at least from Dota fans, has been kind of meh,
I'm probably more warm on it than other things, but I don't know. If you want to dive right into that, we can, but I don't know. Maybe we could praise them for the other things. The things that, like, people just think that they do amazingly right now. Or just,
right,
like,
oh yeah.
blatant victory.
I mean, the way I've always seen Blizzard, they never are like the originators of a genre, of a style. Like, they weren't the first ones to make RTSs. They're the original Warcraft took influences
How
from.
did I forget StarCraft?
Yeah, Warcraft and StarCraft took influences from Dune. World of Warcraft obviously, was writing on a lot of stuff that EverQuest did.
All those RTS fans are gonna make fun of me for like, how'd you forget StarCraft?
But while they're never like the originators of those genres, I feel like they're like the masters of those genres. Like they're the ones who like take it and almost like perfect it.
And they're also really good at keeping old games relevant.
Oh yeah, I mean, freaking Diablo 2. Like people
StarCraft 2
still play Diablo 2. Well, StarCraft 2's recent. I'm talking Diablo 2, man. People still play Diablo 2. To this day,
but
like, actively.
That's really weird.
When did StarCraft 2 come out, though? Like,
2007. 10.
It's still crazy popular. So is WoW,
Still
though.
5 years.
Yeah, but StarCraft also has they still have a third expansion coming out, which admittedly has a lot less fanfare than I expected. Like StarCraft 2 is real big when it came out, and then it was even still pretty big when the Heart of the Swarm expansion came out, but it didn't quite have like it didn't last in the public eye as long, and I feel like you could blame that to like League of Legends and Dota kind of
I think
stole a lot of
RTS
the esports thunder that
yes, exactly.
that game had. Not to say that game still does, and I think that game is still really popular, but I don't hear people constantly talking about it the way people still talk about Dota and League of Legends.
Yeah, it's fallen out of the public eye. Well, like as if Dota and League of Legends are necessary. I mean, kind of, but you know what I mean.
It's not the mainstream favorite anymore.
Yeah, it is not. It is no longer that. That was the esport, was the RTSs, and I think people just got, I don't know, the fan base. People just got, they were like, oh, all right, I get it. I've seen and been in this for a while, and people have moved on. I think
StarCraft's more hardcore is probably why.
So I'm gonna explain something really quick that. Oh sure. Wait, hold on. My computer's doing something weird. Okay, I'm gonna explain something that about StarCraft and Dota is. There's kind of a correlation where if you're really good at StarCraft, Dota's kind of really easy to you, because I'm gonna dumb this down. In StarCraft, you control every single unit and every single thing on the board. In Dota, you control one hero and sometimes multiple things at one time, micromanaging a couple things, but not to the extent of StarCraft. And there are certain heroes in Dota that you have to micromanage a lot more, and people that play StarCraft can pick those heroes up like really well. It's crazy. It's really interesting to see.
Yeah, that's the whole Meepo thing, right? Is that he's the hero that has like 5 copies of himself, and and also I think to kind of what we were talking about a little bit with StarCraft falling out of the public. I mean,
I don't think that's StarCraft's fault.
No, it's not StarCraft's fault. I think it is just the nature of the sport being one-on-one, and like there's 3 factions of, like, obviously there are tons of different builds for those factions that, you know, goes through the meta of an RTS, but only having one-on-one games with only 3 things to choose from doesn't lead to a ton of, like, when what's his name? This one hype caster for Dota. It's not Toby. It's do you know who I'm trying to think of?
No, Lysander.
Good evening and salutations, Dota fans. And
I don't watch esports. I think esports are dumb.
Anyway, he was a caster for StarCraft 2 for a long time, and actually he was gonna be invited by this one casting station to go like live in Korea and like just cast that, but he had switched his interest to Dota. Yeah, I know, right? But he had switched his interest to Dota, and he said after a while you kind of see all these strats and metas just kind of go around and around and around, and you've seen them all. And the thing is with Dota and League of Legends, there's like literally 100 different heroes, and even though the field never changes, there's so many matchups, and it's always 5-on-5. It's not, you know what I mean? There's so many different kind of things happening that it just kind of stays more fresh, right? It's like football versus, like, I don't know, one-on-one football. which I don't know if that, like, is a valid thing, but I think that's true. I think because there's so much more variety, right? It kind of it's easier to keep it, you know.
Well, and football itself as a sport does have a meta, and there are rule changes every year and stuff like that. So
yeah.
You know, to an extent.
So when we initially were having this conversation, like what originated
about World of Warcraft.
The topic.
Or about Blizzard, right?
Oh,
yeah,
Blizzard.
Sorry.
Back to the idea of them having like a second renaissance, sort of like they were really, really big in kind of like the late 90s to sort of early 2000s, and then they kind of had this falling off point where they
were like WoW was established, and they basically
WoW was established, and after I think I don't play Blizzard, but World of Warcraft, but I know a lot of people who do, and for them it seemed that after Wrath of the Lich King is kind of when people were falling off. Like people weren't really that big into Cataclysm and Mists of Pandaria were kind of may as well. But they kind of like, I feel like they've right now sort of been like, they're not back to like the full on where they used to be, but I think they're actually starting to like really pick up again. And I think the perfect example of that is Diablo 3. Like that game was dead when it came out. Like it came out and everyone hated it, and well, hardcore fans hated it for reasons that is really hard to explain.
People were disappointed with it.
People were very disappointed, and it was kind of dead, and Blizzard
Mainly
wasn't really doing much
in the item and the
to
purchasing
support it. And you're kind of like, oh, well, Diablo 3, like everyone's just gonna, no one's gonna care. It's not gonna have the lifespan that Diablo 2 did. But then within the last year or two, with the Reaper of Souls expansion and then bringing it to consoles, they brought that game back from the dead in a way that like I feel like for any other studio they would have just given up and been like, well, all right, we shit the bed on that one. Like, let's move on to something else. Like, they would have just stopped.
Well,
like, Blizzard like was determined to Blizzard was determined to like, no, we're gonna fix this. We're gonna make Diablo work, and they totally did. And like, people are like back into Diablo 3, and I'm like, that's really impressive.
I want it. I want Diablo 3.
Yeah,
Diablo 3 is really good.
Yeah, and I think obviously the Loot 2.0 system patch or whatever that went in right before like the expansion, the Reaper Souls expansion came out.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing that kind of brought it back.
Yeah, that made everyone realize like, oh, this is like that's what like I think has all been circling around is that they've kind of placed that like they are kind of the kings of certain like they're just kind of like own certain genres of video game, which is kind of crazy to say, but like when I think of a dungeon crawling looter game, I think of Diablo. You know what I mean? You think
I'm not gonna play any other. I can't see myself playing any other video game card game. Yeah.
Other than Hearthstone, right?
Yeah, other than Hearthstone. I tried the Pokemon TCG. Not good. People love it. I hate it. In person. And I just think Hearthstone is designed so well. I can get cards. I can get free cards like pretty much every day. I don't know. It's the community's super active. It's just super fun. I love it. So.
And again, they weren't the first ones to do it. You know.
Yeah. Oh no.
There been video game card games for before. Oh well, the Magic games fucking suck. Like they're
but those are the those are the trading card
should have been the kings.
Oh yeah,
they should have.
Yeah, they were there way before anyone else was.
They had years. They've had multiple video games devoted to Magic, and you think like this is the year they're gonna do it, and they kept blowing it every year. Like I heard Blizzard just came in and fucking sweep. I think they're trying now because of. I
think they're like, oh, Hearthstone, or Blizzard did something good. Let's try and feed off of that. And
now they're just trying to feed off of it. What they should have been doing is they should have been the ones on top, and Blizzard would have been having to feed off them.
Yeah.
They fucking blew that
That's what was so kind of surprising to me is that like Blizzard never did anything like with World of Warcraft. It's gotten better over time because every expansion can be argued that it's made it incrementally better, and now it's just like if you're playing an MMO seriously on a weekly basis with lots of people, probably you're probably playing World of Warcraft. But like then out of nowhere they're like, oh, we made this.
But Matt, didn't you hear? Elder Scrolls Online is going free to play now.
I saw that. You know what?
We're gonna play Tamriel Unlimited, as they're calling it.
I want
Talk about like people being sad about a series that they loved.
Okay, well,
to be fair, that game, that does not like upset me and like, oh no, Elder Scrolls is ruined because it's a completely different team that made it. They have said that it's a different team. They said it's not affecting the original team. Yeah,
it's just under the ZeniMax family now. So
I think that game is going to die, and I think proper Elder Scrolls will be fine. Yeah.
All right, let me give some real talk right here really quick.
Okay.
Warlords of Draenor came out. Not too long ago at this point.
People are loving it, I hear.
That seemed to be a big.
I'll get to that. I'll get to that in a second. But first things first. I bought World of Warcraft for $5 during the Christmas sale they had, or the winter sale that Blizzard had going, and that gave me a free month of the game. And the first few times I played it, I leveled up to level 15. I loved the gameplay. I saved it so I could play some more here in Ireland. I haven't really gotten to do that yet. I haven't had time. But man, is that game fun. And there's like all I've heard is that there's so much more fun stuff to do, and I can't. I had no trouble getting into it. Like it's just like Blizzard has had 10 years to refine every element of that game and make it the easiest game for anyone, or the easiest way to penetrate that sort of genre. Like
Yeah.
I look at other MMOs and I'm like, nope, no, thank you.
Yeah. They are. Yeah.
Most MMOs have the opposite problem where they keep layering it on, and it gets more and more complicated, and it becomes harder and harder to penetrate.
Mhm.
Blizzard they know
I
how
mean-
to keep their game accessible to everybody.
I mean, look at when's the last time you played? And I know that's not a proper MMO, but when's the last time you guys played Destiny? I don't know about you, Jean-Luc, but you sold.
I played it maybe like 3 weeks ago or something. I tried getting in a little bit back with that expansion, and I did it for like a week, and then I was like, nah, I can't do this. It's just now.
If you haven't touched that game since the expansion came out, there's already a learning curve. It's crazy. They've added stuff. They've changed stuff. There's like more different types of materials. It's just.
I saw it. For the first week, I looked at all that shit, and I was like, and that's part of the reason why I said fuck that, because I'm like, no, like it just made the game even more complicated. It's like, oh, hey, you liked Reputation, right? Here's like 3 more Reputation, and you're like, oh, like no, it's the worst part of Destiny. Stupid Reputation I have to grind. So like, if that's their idea of like adding to that game, it's like, forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the hard mode raid for Crota came out today, and it's kind of a joke. Like they waited an extra month to put it out, and it's not. It's barely different. There's like no new mechanics. It's aggravating. It's frustrating, but I love it.
You have a problem.
I can't stop playing it.
You guys have a problem.
Yeah. Me and Nate can't stop.
So we've kind of talked about a little bit like why World of Warcraft is, we talked about like why that's the thing, and like the card game, it's so easy. I think that's the key to their success, is that they make all of these genres that look impenetrable to people who don't play a lot of video games very accessible. Which is like, I don't like, a lot of dungeon crawly things, but Diablo's super fun. I also don't like trading card games are like nowhere near my interest. And
it's amazing to me how many people I've talked to who the only game they play is World of Warcraft.
That's nuts.
Yeah. But yeah, I like it's like looking at like that market in general is just like it's just crazy to me that other people haven't, I don't know how to explain it, haven't really taken enough from World of Warcraft in a sense of teaching in order to allow people to get into their game better. Like I'm trying to think of a good example of an MMO that's out right now that I like just wouldn't even touch. Well, Elder Scrolls Online, but that's for a different reason.
That's for just like every other reason.
But if I hear about another MMO or something like that, I feel like there's kind of just this Blizzard has such a good reputation that I just want to stick with them with that sort of thing, because I know they have it, I know that I can play it, and I'll probably have a better experience.
Yeah. Whoever they have like look at their player experiences is just some kind of genius, because like for all of their games, it isn't, obviously there's not the same kind of intro or tutorial to all their games because they're all completely different genres, but it's like taking you through each hero deck and making you beat every single hero in Hearthstone is the smartest way to make someone good at a trading. That
tutorial is the best tutorial I've ever played in a video game.
It is the best way to get someone into that kind of game, because it's going to show you all the different kinds of decks and give you an introduction to it, and it's also not like immediately playing other people, right? It's like no. If you go out there right now, like you're just going to not want to play. So like, just
and then they give you a free pack at the end, and and then that whets your appetite for more packs. But that's a different story for a different day.
Yeah.
I think that Blizzard is just. I like to describe them as video game Pixar, just because
I
like
don't know if
and
that's accurate though.
but like they're so good at what they do, I can expect something good from the next thing they do.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, that's fair.
Like when I look, okay, I mean I didn't expect Toy Story 2 to be bad, but I also didn't expect Diablo 3 to be bad at
Right.
first. Or not Toy Story 2, Cars 2. My bad.
Okay. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I was like, wait, are you saying Toy Story 2 is bad? Because go
No,
fuck
no.
yourself.
I like Toy Story 2. It's my
Toy Story
favorite
2
one.
Yeah, dude, you and me, Toy Story 2, best Toy Story.
So if we want to talk about Heroes of the Storm now, just for a little bit and kind of, I kind of have a defense.
I'll stay out of that conversation because I don't have much to do with it, but I want to jump in when we talk about
Oh, you
Overwatch.
want to talk about? Yeah, we can talk about Overwatch.
Well, yeah, you guys can have your Hearthstone conversation.
No, let's talk
Or
about
here-
or let's talk about Heroes of the Storm.
So I have a defense that I want to put up for Heroes of the Storm because
Are you saying you're trying to defend the ancients?
I want to defend the I want to defend that game. Yeah, Dota. If I may, so I can see all the criticism for it, and like I think it had all what you had said the other day. Emilio had said all the heroes are so well are just kind of all, even though the hero abilities. So Here's the Storm, if you don't know, is a MOBA. It's Blizzard's entry into that genre. It's still in a closed beta, but I think they just put out, you can pay $40 to get access to the closed beta, and it gives you a bunch of stuff for the in-game and all that stuff.
Or you can wait until it's free to play.
You can wait till it's free to play, but also like if you did want to get into this, which like there's a lot of people clamoring to get into it because it's Blizzard's MOBA, so you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they
Dota
do
2
give you.
should have been Blizzard's MOBA, arguably.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But it almost, but in the same way, I don't know how to say it. So basically, when you're getting into a MOBA, and like I have like 300 hours now, or probably no, I have like 400 hours now into Dota 2, which is like a fair amount of hours. Like it's pretty, that's a pretty large sum of hours to put into a game, but not necessarily into a MOBA.
Right.
But so I think it nails at what the core of a MOBA is and kind of should be in a certain way, even though it won't probably become my main one, because I like all the grittiness and all the little things in Dota. Like I like everything that Dota 2 does with all of the, there's a bajillion different heroes always on offer to play all the time, and there's all all the weapons and the leveling of your attributes and blah blah blah. I like Dota for Dota and all of its stuff. But I think why Heroes of the Storm is kind of successful in its like super simplification is that when you're first learning to play one of these games, it's hard to just like, and you haven't played it like a MOBA, like a lot of people haven't still, right?
I would argue that Dota and MOBAs are the most. I would argue that they are the hardest to get into. I have almost 100. I have like 180 games or 160 games played of Dota 2, and I'm still like in my infant stage of learning the game. Like
Yeah,
there's
you still feel like I still feel like a novice, even though I feel like at this point like I'm in a place in Dota where like I am at a low MMR, but like I've watched a lot of pro games and I know how to play, so at this point I'm just like stuck at this shitty MMR. When like today I was playing and I was like, how don't these people know how to like support well or carry well? Just like they were like, oh, give me these heroes, and then they played them so poorly. I was like disgusted. I was like, that's your job as that hero to do that thing, and then they just didn't do it. So like I think. Anyway.
And at the same time, I feel like for Dota, for me personally, I've never had an experience in a game where I feel like I've learned and improved so much over time. And if that's true for any MOBA, for anyone, and you think you have any interest in it, I think Heroes of the Storm is a great launch pad for you. I think you should get on that, because Heroes of the Storm is not so insultingly, but I would say it's definitely baby's first MOBA. But at the same time, like, that's not a bad thing. That's what Blizzard wants. They don't want this impenetrable game. They want people to get into it. They want it to be free.
Yeah. And like the way it explains stuff and like it kind of almost helped me make more sense out of certain stuff in Dota. Like I'm in a place with Dota where like I know 10 heroes really well, which out of 100 is like kind of pathetic, but like I can say I support and I play these 10 people well, captain. So pick me one of those. And I feel like pretty good about that considering some people go into captain's draft and they're like, I know Earthshaker. I know him. So pick me Earthshaker or else I can't play. I'm like, that's really upsetting. You should know at least two. Please, at least know two. But so, I'm in the place where those 10 heroes in Dota where like I know what items to buy for them, and I only know like a build. I'm like, this is the best one for that hero. But like really, against different heroes in different teams, you should vary your build, and like that's something that people who have played.
Yeah. And I've heard, I mean, from what I know of Heroes of the Storm is there are no items.
Yeah.
And for that reason, it's like you level up as a team, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing is like so you level up as a team and you don't actually like level up. You know how every level in a MOBA you level up like an ability and it gets incrementally better. So what they do in Heroes of the Storm is every 4 levels there's like you're not like adding an ability. It's just like, oh, this trait will now be markedly better than it was a few levels ago. So like that's the thing in like Dota. There's like these stages where it's like, oh, he got level 4 in this and now it's better. So it's kind of the same in Heroes of the Storm where like the way it mimics builds and leveling makes sense to a new player and even to someone like me who's like, well, how do you get different builds? And it's like, oh, because instead of using items and just like incrementally improving like the different things, it's just like once every 4 levels, you're basically at the beginning of the game, you're gonna be like, okay, am I gonna focus on like right clicking or am I gonna focus on supporting? Like I have this one right click ranged like supporter person, and she is and like you can build her so that like her right clicks are super powerful and almost make her just like a glass cannon, or you can build her super supporty with just selecting once every 4 levels these support abilities to choose for her. And it just kind of like you can do that in Dota with the heroes through itemization and picking different abilities to level up, but it just kind of said like, okay, well, how do we simplify that into just one thing? And it's not even every level. It's once every 4 levels. You're just thinking, oh, what am I thinking about again? Oh, I'm just thinking about right click, so I'm just going to upgrade the right click thing, right? So like, and that's not taking away your other abilities to use, because then you're like, well, wait, don't I need the other abilities? You still have them. They're just not going to be nearly as effective as they would if you emphasize those with your level up once every 4 levels. So like, it still has those kind of different builds versus different people, but it just simplified it so much that it almost like made more sense to me.
Right. And like I said, like Blizzard wants that sort of less thought process in how you're gonna get into playing the game, and more thought process of what do I do next now that I've started playing this game. Right. And I think that that's working great. I think that there is a lot of hype for this game to become free to play soon, and I think that I think that for that reason, this is a great move on Blizzard's part. I just wish they made the move 5 years earlier when they could have maybe thought about Dota 2 or something. But
yeah, and that makes me wonder, like, if they did get Dota 2, if they could have made it so accessible but still Dota 2. Like, imagine if Heroes of the Storm was just Dota 2, people would, like, Dota, you know, original Dota believers would have been like, flip the table, this is not Dota, this is some baby shit, and left, because...
Well, and at the same time, like, think of what Blizzard can pull, like, what shit they can pull. They've already, like, I mean, there's already been stuff between Blizzard and Valve where they've taken certain heroes, for example, and you can look this up on your own at any time. There used to be a hero in Dota 2 called Skeleton King, and he was in the original Dota, which, for those who don't know, the original Dota was a Warcraft 3 mod made by 5 or 6 people, I think. And 2 of the people that made the mod went on to make Riot and League of Legends, and two of the people, I think, went from that mod to go to Valve, or at least one of them I know, and is making Dota 2. So, but it's crazy to me that there's these characters that have been changed. They've had name changes, full cosmetic changes, because of Blizzard saying, "Oh, well, that's our model from our old game. You can't do that. You need to change this hero." So Skeleton King is now
Wraith King.
Wraith King, and like he's a totally different model. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy to me, and like that came with a huge update and stuff like that, and yeah.
But they've been kind of so friendly with the development and like kind of nudging like, hey, you should change, different things like that.
So yeah, Heroes of the Storm I think is a great move, and I think we should move on to Overwatch.
Yeah.
Jean-Luc.
I'm awake.
Jean-Luc, if you're gonna ever play the summation of that, if you're ever gonna try MOBA when Heroes of the Storm goes public, check it out.
Yeah,
I think everyone should.
That seemed to be my general sense. Was it was a different flavor that would potentially maybe get me into MOBAs.
It's Jean-Luc's first MOBA.
My first MOBA.
Let's do it.
Okay, so Overwatch for me is.
Wait.
Yes.
What about Battle Chess?
I don't even know what that is.
I also don't know.
It's an Amiga game.
Oh, all right, great. good call, but none of us know.
Oh,
taking the world by storm.
All right. Move on with Overwatch.
All right, Overwatch. So, I mean, for me, Overwatch looks like it's Blizzard trying to get into like the Team Fortress style business.
Arcade shooter.
Yeah, the arcade shooter. They're like trying to compete with Valve on all fronts. I'm waiting for their like Left 4 Dead game they're gonna put out.
Are they on Evolve? Are they?
Yeah, exactly. They're secretly Evolve is actually Blizzard. I'm kind of surprised it took them this long because I feel like Team Fortress is a weird game where it started out actually as like a completely different. It's not a different game, but it started out in a different space. It kind of was. It came out when shooters were still very much like kind of compacted and just like you bought the game, that was the box, and they would add stuff, and that was it. And this is like they keep adding more and more and layering onto it, and now it's a different game. Like it's free to play now. It exists in a completely different market. And
I bought TF2.
Exactly. I bought a copy of TF2.
When it released on Steam, I bought TF2.
Totally. And like it's a completely different game now, and in a lot of ways it's a better game, but it's also much more. They've added so much onto it that it's a little hard to penetrate. I find now, like there's a lot to it, and it's got so many different systems and weapons and the crafting, and it's almost a bit much. And so I'm really curious if Blizzard can kind of incorporate a lot of the stuff that has happened with shooters over the last like 10 years, but they don't have to. They can kind of like start clean and make a game.
Yeah, don't make it as complex.
Exactly, yeah, and you can kind of just pick it up and be like, yes. And I think they're gonna incorporate elements from MOBAs. Clearly, I think just the design-wise, they're obviously doing that with all these characters looking very different, which I'm not a fan of. I like Overwatch's characters more than most, but I'm not a fan of this weird thing we're in now where games are like, instead of one aesthetic, it's like, we took 20 aesthetics and put them all in one video game. I'm like, like, I forget the name of it, the Gearbox shooter that's coming out that described itself as like a MOBA shooter, like that's kind of doing the same thing.
Was that canceled, or was that another one that was canceled?
No, it's not canceled. But that game's like, oh, there's an elf girl with a bow, but there's also like a steampunk robot with a monocle, and you're like, I don't know. Like,
Jean-Luc, if I may hold you up for a minute,
sure.
Breaking news: on I-95, a 18-wheeler is turned over that was literally full of only ramen. So
I didn't see that.
I think we gotta go. And no,
it was like in North Carolina though, like.
Oh, where? Oh, okay. So
yeah, not. it's long. I-99's long.
Yeah.
It's not like you and me need to run outside and go grab all the.
We gotta hop in the car. Get out. Let's go.
Real
quick.
I'm really excited for Overwatch though. I'm really excited to see what that game has, and also just man, when they showed that trailer, I was like,
it looks really cool.
It looks really cool, but I was also like I guess this is where. If Blizzard is the Pixar of video games, like you say, Meals, like they should contact Pixar and say, "Yo, make a movie," because I'd watch that movie.
I would. Oh my God, the friggin' animations and stuff they do for their trailers are top
Amazing.
notch. Some of the best, I think, best cinematics. I think aside from like CD Projekt Red cinematics.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
no, they're. Whew.
was that the Cyberpunk 2077 or whatever?
Well, do they do those themselves as well? Um,
I think CD Projekt Red does those. I think those are in house.
I don't know. I mean, the big studio that does most of the
I've never
game
played a
stuff is
CD Projekt Red game.
Blur. Blur does most of like whenever you see like the Star Wars ones or all those Halo anniversary cutscenes were all done by
Yeah.
Blur.
Um,
Those guys are really good.
yeah, they're incredible. Let me talk about Overwatch really quick
Sure.
and my experience with TF2.
Okay.
I have played a lot of TF2. A lot of TF2. I've spent hundreds of hours playing TF2. I love TF2.
Damn.
One of my favorite games I've ever played. Um, I don't I have seen class-based shooters come and go that have just done nothing for me, I guess. Um, I can talk about um, what's it called? Super Monday Night Combat was
Yeah.
a
I
good
wish that
game.
took off. God, how I wish that took
It was a
off.
good game, and my friend
Yeah.
Jake played so much Super Monday Night Combat, and he loved it, loved it, loved it, and the community just died. It just flatlined.
Yeah, that really bummed me out because that was
And
a really fun game.
and that was a MOBA shooter. That was a
It was.
third-person
It
MOBA
was
shooter.
seriously before its time, I think. I genuinely think if that came out this year, I would be playing that every day. Like,
Yeah, I think that game was ahead of its time when it came out, and it's a bummer, but at the same time, like I look at other class-based shooters, and I've seen a bunch come and go, and I'm failing to remember names of games at the moment.
I think that speaks for how much of an
Yeah.
impact they've
Yeah,
had.
well,
Can't remember 'em.
I keep thinking Loadout, but that's a little different.
yeah. But I
But
know
like,
what you're saying. Like,
it's like
yeah.
it's like this free-to-play shooter market is
Oh, it's so oversaturated, and there's
I
so
think
much.
it's oversaturated, and I think it's tapped out, and I think it needs something new. But at the same time, I'm excited by the idea of Overwatch because what they showed seemed a little fresh. It actually felt to me like Super Monday Night Combat met TF2.
Yeah.
And
I'm
a
not
lot
seeing
of
much of
respects.
the Super Monday Night Combat though.
I think the art and I think the characters and the abilities definitely.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
When they talked about the abilities, they sounded very.
The
Like-
gameplay is
like-
very.
Like you have your abilities kind of laid out like if you were to play a MOBA or any like a Diablo or something like that.
Okay,
like
yeah,
a
no, I
MOBA.
actually see what you're saying now.
And in Super Monday Night Combat, you had that, you had an ult pretty much. You had like different abilities, and they were laid out the same way. TF2 doesn't really do that. All of the customization in TF2 is what your loadout is, what your guns are, and your ability to use them correctly. I pretty much primarily play soldier, and I rocket jump around. If I can't rocket jump in Overwatch, then I don't know. I don't know if I'll enjoy it as much. And that's part of the arcade. Kind of shitty to say that like if that feature's not there, then I won't really enjoy it. But it's such an integral part of arcade shooters at this point and Twitch shooters that I kind of need it there. I loved Quake. I loved Unreal Tournament 2004. I love rocket jumping in all of those games. Like the mobile.
Does this game even? Do any of the characters even have rockets?
Yes, they do. There is like a soldier. I found a lot of parallels to like multiple characters in one character. I really like the character that like he's pretty much the scout, but like he can rewind and stuff.
Tracer. Yeah, I liked her. The Cockney chick.
Yeah, it's cool. But I drew a lot of parallels to characters from that. I'll definitely try it out. I'm signed up for the beta, so I'll see what happens with that. I'm very excited, but I'm not keeping my hopes high for my next TF2.
Yeah, I think that also a lot of everyone's excitement about Blizzard doing that is like what Jean-Luc spoke to earlier, that like they support their games so well. So like when Loadout came out, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool and kind of interesting. But like immediately the community died. It was like that was cool for a week, and then everyone stopped playing Loadout.
I paid for Loadout Early Access.
And then did everyone stop playing it? Because everyone stopped playing it.
I spent $20 on Loadout, played it one time, and I said, fuck this, and I uninstalled it.
Oh, that's upsetting.
It's entirely possible I might not care for Overwatch. Not because it might not be a good game, but honestly, most multiplayer games don't hold my attention very long. Like, very rarely do I find a multiplayer game that I'll stick with for more than, like, a week. And one of the few that has done that was TF2. The other being, like, Halo.
Yeah, there's like...
But I've fallen off TF2. Like, I haven't played that in a while, so I'm kind of hoping maybe Overwatch might be that game that I'll get into for a while.
Yeah, I think because of the way that they've supported all their games for so long is one of those big draws to it, where it's like, oh, well, the community will be there because it's Blizzard. It's going to be Blizzard's arena shooter. So you don't have to worry about, like, oh, I didn't play Overwatch this week and now the community went away. Because it's going to be, oh no, everyone stopped playing a Blizzard game. That's not true. There's still people playing Diablo 2. So you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think that community will definitely stick around for, for a good while. So, like, that's just... I think Emilio's right. It looks like a fresh take on that kind of arena shooter thing with more MOBA-y, like, interesting kind of abilities, but also just the fact that it sounds like a cop-out. It's like, but it's Blizzard, but, like, their pedigree of, like, look at World of Warcraft and Diablo and etc., StarCraft, etc., etc., etc. They are now known for supporting these solid IPs for, forever. I wonder when they made the conscious decision to be like, hey, let's just, because, like, they had World of Warcraft out and they had Diablo 3 out and, like, StarCraft or whatever, but, like, when did they make the decision, like, hey, we've already nailed these genres, let's just do everything. So, like, let's find the best trading card people, and let's find, like, these MOBA people, and let's find these arcade shooter people, and just do every single genre and just bang it. Like, just hit it, right? Like,
I mean, they tried.
I wonder what that internal discussion was, or if it just happened. That, like, they were like, oh, we just discovered that we could do things. You know what I mean? Like, there must have been some big meeting in the, you know what I mean?
I think there's just so much heart in everything, and like there's an excellent documentary that came out during BlizzCon. It's called Looking for Group, and it's a World of Warcraft documentary. It's about an hour long, and they talk about just like how the lore and like how the map was created for World of Warcraft, and they like had this one guy just like they're like just paint the map on a wall. And that what became the map of like is it I don't know, Azeroth or whatever, I don't really know.
So, yeah.
But like it was like this beautiful map like this guy painted, and that right at that moment that he painted that on the wall, they're like, that's the map, and they still have that. And there's like, all this stuff where like they have really, really dedicated people writing all of the lore behind everything and all these characters, and like before I played World of Warcraft, I played a lot of, Hearthstone, and I already had some of that like character knowledge going into World of Warcraft because because it's Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft. I think a lot of people forget the subtitle.
Right. Yeah.
and it's all it's all World of Warcraft characters.
Yeah. And
it's awesome. Being a kid that grew up, I played a lot of Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. My dad loves those games. And I just like kind of fell off. Like I saw World of Warcraft was coming out, and I was like, as a kid, I was like, I'm never gonna have a computer good enough to play this game. Like, I was.
If only you had known.
I was 12 years old. Like I had a Dell Latitude laptop, and I was playing Unreal Tournament 2004.
Hell yeah, sounds pretty good to me. Fuck Blizzard, let's just play Unreal.
Fuck that noise. Let's just play.
Why Epic Games is in the shitter.
I think there's an interesting point though that like Blizzard seems to make one game really well, and they'll maybe make like a sequel to that game, but they don't. It's not like we're gonna make another MMO. Like they don't compete with themselves. Like they do one thing really well, and then they try a different thing really well. I think that's why we're never gonna get another Warcraft. Is because they already have StarCraft 2.
Yeah, StarCraft is gonna be
I
until they
think that.
come. Go
Even though
ahead.
those games are
Go
actually
ahead.
different, and I know a lot of people would like to see Warcraft, I just don't think it's gonna happen.
I think that
I think then
uh,
that could be their next RTS actually after this thing completes. If they're like, okay, our next series of like, you're waiting for the RTS people to come back and give you your next big competitive RTS, maybe they do bring it back to just Warcraft. I don't know.
I saw a lot of talk about World of Warcraft and how they plan to support that game for a
Literally
pretty
ever.
solid amount of time. I
I
think
think
it
they
was
literally said like another 10 years.
no. I think I read even more, and this isn't confirmed at all, but I well, at least from my knowledge, I think that I heard something like, yeah, we've got this planned out for another 20 years at least. I'm
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, holy shit! Like this game will survive for another 20 years if they do support it as well as they are.
Yeah.
Um, One thing I meant to go back on it with Warlords of Draenor is that came out. It had excellent, like an excellent, well, actually a really shitty release because of all of the doxing and stuff like that, and people being assholes. But I think that there would have been a lot of network issues to begin with, but not as much certainly. Um, uh, that expansion though got a lot of really good reception, but what seems to have happened is that's all kind of petered out at this point, and people are like, oh well, all I'm really doing now is kind of grinding the raid, kind of doing heroics every week, and people aren't so into it as they first were, and there might be a little less there than expected. But at the same time, I heard people clamoring about that expansion for at least a month, and I think that that is when that expansion goes on sale, it'll be a worthwhile purchase on my end because I hope to be around the level that I need to be to start playing that expansion when that happens. So I don't plan to just grind and grind. I want to play that game, when I feel like playing the game, and it'll be worth it to have the fun with it for as long, like for a month or whatever it may be. But
Yeah.
I just like it's like I think it's like anything. To relate it back to Destiny. The expansion came out. Everyone was crazy about it for about like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and that all. I mean, that by now everyone's just like, all right, bring on the next expansion. Like, where is it? And that kind of scares me about Blizzard's model for World of Warcraft or any expansion or any game that relies on the next expansion is there's always going to be the community of people saying, well, when's the next one? And that stuff takes a lot of time to make.
Yeah, but I think Blizzard is, if anyone has done it well, it's them, right?
It is. It's just like Mists of Pandaria came out 2 years ago, more
God,
than two years ago
I
now.
feel like that was sooner,
Yeah,
but like you're
2 years.
right.
2 years is yeah, it came out my freshman year. So and that,
But
but it
that's a
was
lot of new stuff that people like. People
it's a
love
lot
that
of new
shit, you
stuff,
know?
but for whatever reason, it only lasts people for a month. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
that's kind of sad. That's kind of, I mean, that bums me out. There was a
but
lot of time and effort. There were 2 years between that and Draenor, and
but
people
if
are
you
sick of
think about
Draenor.
it, like if those people are leveled to that point and then they're gonna beat it over that next month, right? That is,
Right,
a month of video game for whatever it was, like what, $50 or $60 for that expansion. That's
right.
like that's like releasing a new game once every two. Like they are, if we're saying like that they've kind of annualized their expansions to maybe 2 years or whatever, then like they're still that's still not bad in terms of like investment and time
No,
because
and
you know.
I don't think it's the developer's fault. I think it is the habitual nature of the way that people play those games, almost to excess.
Well, yeah.
Um,
And the issue just games are it takes so long to make a game, and the amount of content you can make for a game compared to the amount of time it actually
right,
takes to
like
make it
yeah,
is always going to be much less.
Yeah.
like look at how it probably takes a good amount of time and planning to make one Halo level, and I know it takes a good amount of time, and somebody can clear one of those, like a level in Halo 3 I can clear like pretty much most of them in 20-25 minutes,
Exactly.
and that that pretty much, like, and that's going kind of fast, but like look at that in terms of the whole game. There's what 12 levels in the campaign or something like that. That's not a lot of time compared to how much time it took to make that game.
Yeah.
And that's a bummer, and that's where a lot of games rely on multiplayer and PvP elements, I think. Like a lot of people, and I learned this recently, a lot of people still play World of Warcraft just for the PvP. They subscribe every month just to play PvP.
That's
So
nuts.
I mean, yeah, I mean, and yeah, that's just crazy to me. But yeah, I think Blizzard's just doing a really good job though, and I pretty much I commend them for their efforts in their ventures into new genres personally.
Yeah, I forgot to just add on this one thing with Heroes of the Storm. Also, the games of other MOBA games are generally like, unless you're a pro level, then they're gonna end at like maybe 15 to 20 minutes, like maybe it's that short. But generally, a good game of Dota could go for like an hour, right? Like generally, when I play Dota 2, the game takes 45 minutes to start to finish. Every game I've played at Heroes of the Storm is like 20 to 25 minutes at the maximum. Long games that are like, holy shit, this game is forever, are 30 minutes. And so, like, I think Heroes of the Storm will have lasting power in terms of, it's easy to get into, but also, like, I'm not thinking, okay, well, like, am I only going to play Heroes of the Storm, or am I going to play Dota? Like, that's how I felt about League of Legends. I was like, am I going to be a Dota person or a League of Legends person, right? And, like, which one am I going to kind of sink my foot into? But
I picked whichever one had the cooler art style.
Yeah, my friends were in Dota, so I picked Dota,
Dota does have the superior art style. I hate League of Legends.
Oh, yes, I agree.
I'm not trying to shit on anyone, but
I think they have good concept art. I think their concept art's really nice.
Concept art and their trailers are gorgeous.
Very nice.
Oh my
I
god.
do not care for the actual in-game aesthetics.
I think the game looks too much like candy.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Everything's purple and like neon green.
You know what? There's one thing I could blame Blizzard for. Blizzard's the one who created, with World of Warcraft, I feel like they're the ones who really created and popularized that like really cartoony fantasy aesthetic, which is a good aesthetic, but everybody copies it. Like everyone's here's our League of Legends is definitely taken from it. Torchlight, which was a Diablo-style game by the original Diablo creators, definitely looked like it was taken from it. And I am sick of that art style. Like
and then I look at Dota, and I look at like the textures in Dota, and like I'm like,
so good.
Dota doesn't look like that. It'd have been so easy.
It kind of looks like hand painted almost to me, like the grass and the rocks and stuff like that. It looks gorgeous. Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Valve could have easily just aped that art style for Dota 2, and they didn't, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Because you got to look at it on the front page every day when they're like, Dota 2
exactly.
But so, I guess what I was saying were, like, I'm probably gonna play Heroes of the Storm for, I don't see myself not playing it. You know what I mean? There's no reason for me to not play it. When I look to play it, I'm like, all right, am I gonna play a serious hardcore game right now at Dota? Or, like, do I have, like, today, before my class, I was like, I have 50 minutes. I can't fit in a game of Dota, or I might not be able to because it could go long. Getting put into a match, it could go long. I was like, let me play.
Or average at this point. It's 50 minutes isn't long anymore. And the way Dota is at this point, a 45-minute game is a quick game.
Yeah, and like I was literally able to fit in 2 games of Heroes of the Storm, and it was like fun, and like I lost one and won one, but it was just like it's just so kind of quick that the losses aren't as like fuck. You know what I mean? Like even though like it's there's an hour.
Every time I play Dota, this is how Dota works for me. I'm either trying a character or playing a character that I know. If I'm playing a character that I know, I'm pouring my heart into it. I'm my items and everything, and I'm really, really trying my hardest. And if the game goes late or the game's going on for a while and I lose the game, it's just like it's so defeating. It is like you can hear it in everyone you're playing with, like Wiz's voice.
Yeah, God,
voices.
There's like a tone that's like, do we want to do it again?
Yeah, it's like, do you guys? Yeah, and then you win, and it's just like, yeah, like you're just like, like it is the most rewarding and I don't know, like it's or not rewarding thing ever.
Yeah,
like
it can be the most rewarding, the most defeating.
From what you're saying about Heroes of the Storm, it sounds like you can play a quick pickup match and you're good.
Yeah, and like it might, in comparatively, it's not like you're. I don't know. You can compare it to like food or I don't know. I was just thinking that like it's not like going to a restaurant and you're either super like wow that was the best thing ever or like wow that was.
You're doing something right when a complete stranger compliments on your mustache.
Oh,
Okay.
hey, you know you're doing something right when a complete.
Thanks, Colin. Appreciate that.
Yes,
You know you're doing
mustache.
something right when a complete stranger compliments you on your mustache. Am I right,
That'll
guys?
be the name of the episode.
Am I right?
Oh God, I hate you.
Am I? All right.
Okay.
You want to start wrapping it up here, Matt?
Yeah, we can wrap it up. I think we've talked about it at length. They're doing every genre really good. I don't know. What? Any closing thoughts for you guys on them?
I love Hearthstone. I'm really getting into WoW. I've played Diablo 1 and 2 and a lot of Warcraft. And I want to play. I want to play more Blizzard games. I want to see what else I can do. So, keep on surprising me with everything that you do, Blizzard.
Keep on thrilling me. Jean-Luc, any closing thoughts on Blizzard?
Yeah, I wanna see Overwatch. That's kind of the big thing I'm looking forward to from them. I'm really excited for that beta. I hope they haven't shown much of the game, so I'm hoping it's not too microtransaction-y or like I don't know how they're handling all that free-to-play stuff.
Yeah,
because I get the feeling it has to be free-to-play, like for that kind of game to survive.
Oh, it will be. Yeah.
It will be. It's not.
It will be.
Hopefully, it won't be pay to win.
Well, if they do the Dota approach where it's like pay for skins, pay for alternate costumes, totally fine with. Characters could get a bit weird because I feel like that game is so dependent on the characters balancing with each other that introducing like a ton of characters could actually kind of be a bad thing.
I think they've proven with Heroes of the Storm that they and like even the Hearthstone they're not money grabby, right?
Right.
They don't need to be. I feel like they don't need to be money grabby in that sense because they already make so much money anyway. World of Warcraft can just feed them money, so they don't need to like worry about microtransactions.
Right.
Somebody figured out about how many people would need to be in the player base, how low the player base for World of Warcraft would need to be for them to start losing money, and they are so far exceeding that number that I don't think we'll see it, at least for a long time. That's pretty much all I have to say.
Same.
Coolio. Me too. I'm so glad that Heroes of the Storm happened because like I saw what was happening with Hearthstone and I like playing it but I'm not super into that thing. So I'm so glad that Heroes of the Storm kind of came. That's like my thing into Blizzard's world is like I like Diablo, but like Heroes of the Storm is just tickling, that thing, and I really want to play Overwatch now because I've seen how good they can do and I want to, I want to jump in on that new joint. So thank you everyone for watching. You can follow Emilio Fornatora at
Emilio Fornatora at Emilio Fornatora.
And
Jean-Luc right here.
Jean-Luc at Jean-Luc.
Yep, here's my thing. Just click on that. Yep.
This was just part of the closing. I like doing it.
Okay, fine. Have your closing.
Follow me at Matt_Clink. So thanks everybody for watching. This week's official Home Button podcast that still doesn't have a name. Maybe.
Do you know what we're doing next week?
We might be talking about Nintendo?
I don't know.
We're not sure. Let's not confirm anything.
Yeah, I don't want to confirm anything because I want to keep things relevant.
Yeah,
so if something pops up, then we can be like, let's do that.
Yeah.
We kind of picked Blizzard because there's not really anything to talk about right now.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of.
Yeah. We just don't want to disappoint all three of you, so.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll be back here next week at the same time, same place. Follow us on Twitter at HomeButtonCast, on Twitch at twitch.tv/HomeButtonCast. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/HomeButtonOfficial. And, of course, subscribe to us here where you're most likely watching this on YouTube. And if you're not, that's magic. On YouTube
Matt,
at YouTube.com.
are you still streaming regularly?
Yeah, totally. I haven't.
How's that
Schoolwork.
streaming schedule going, guys?
It's been good.
I
School.
streamed on Thursday, and nobody watched. It was great.
And
Nice.
Jean-Luc did a good stream. I feel bad. Yeah, please. I feel like we just need more people to
Are we
actually
saving-
watch the
are-
stream because it makes it worth it then.
Are we saving the streams?
Well, it sounds like Ed might come over during this will go up on Thursday, so later tonight then Ed will be on, and he is going to, well, hopefully he'll be on. I don't know. If Ed comes on, we're gonna try and play Silent Hill, but if not, then
Nice.
I'd like to try and get Dark Souls actually working on a stream because that'd be fun.
All right.
All right,
Let's
so
wrap
that's
it up.
so yeah, so that is it. Follow us at those places, and on behalf of Emilio Fortatora, Jean-Luc Hypke, and
That's my name.
I've known him for so long, and I can't do it still. And myself, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Woo!